India's only gorilla is no more. The veteran and handsome gorilla lost his fortnight-long battle due to age-related health conditions. Here's more on the story. If you have ever paid a visit to the Mysore Zoo, we are sure you would have come across Polo. Hey, are you asking who Polo was? One thing is for sure, he was not a human being, but was someone who invariably caught everybody's attention at the zoo in the heritage city. Solo Polo bids goodbye to the world. There is some bad news for regular visitors to the internationally renowned Mysore Zoo. Polo, the gorilla who enthralled visitors for nearly 5 decades, passed away on Saturday night. Polo was India's only gorilla living in the Mysore Zoo. He was suffering from respiratory infection and old age ailments. In fact, he was suffering psychologically due to loneliness too. His recurring illness worried his caretakers. Polo lost his appetite and was on liquid food supplements. Subsequently, his health deteriorated and he was under treatment for the past 1 month. Polo was also given vitamin supplements, and because of this, he did show some improvement. Since Polo was reluctant to take drugs orally, he was given zinc, iron, antibiotics and painkillers mixed in milk, tea and juices. Polo showed some signs of recovery after he was administered liver extracts and vitamin supplements. Unfortunately, his condition relapsed 15 days ago. He was advised injectable antibiotics. The zoo vets managed to give antibiotics with bronchodilators for over a week. Polo stopped playing with the swing. His health deteriorated so much that he had drastically reduced his physical activity and even stopped playing with the swing. That was his favorite pastime. Though Polo showed little activity, there was no marked improvement in his health condition. As time passed by, his health condition worsened with respiratory problems and hurried thoracic respiration. Polo's respiratory tract infection could have led to other problems and open mouth respiration. Polo was in a bad shape. With a bad cough for the past 2 days, he had stopped eating. His activities had noticeably come down too. Finally, he did not respond to the treatment. The vets tried their best to revive him, but all efforts failed when the loving Polo breathed his last at around 10:45 p.m. on Saturday night. He was 43 years old at the time of his death. For a primate whose lifespan averages up to 40, Polo was quite old. Yes, Polo had outlived his average lifespan, and the veterinarians treating him could not risk tranquilizing him in order to make a detailed assessment of his health status. A physical examination and sample collection for laboratory analysis were not at all possible. His urine was examined twice, but there were no anomalies. The Chamrajendra Zoological Gardens has lost one of its most precious inmates. Visitors at the century-old Mysore Zoo will terribly miss its dear pet, as he was the only gorilla in an Indian zoo.
It is very sad to hear that Polo passed away last night in the Chamarajendra Zoo. His activity was very fun-loving. Children used to love him like anything. Everyone says gorillas are the main reason for human beings. We followed their way. But it is really sad and not happening for people in Mysore. And we really love him a lot. We miss him a lot.
The 43-year-old western lowland gorilla was buried next to his old-time friend Bali, a chimpanzee, who had died in the same zoo last year. From the ritualistic pujas to even a complete burial, the caretakers and concerned officials left no stone unturned to ensure their much-loved gorilla got a respectable goodbye.
Polo was my very favorite animal in the Chamrajendra Zoo. I used to visit it often. It was a very sad news that I heard it was dead. It was a 42-year-old. It was fun-loving animal to everyone. It was very active, fun-loving animal. Children used to love it.
Here we bring to you the tragic story of India's lone male gorilla who was housed in the Mysore Zoo. The century-old Chamrajendra Zoological Gardens of Mysore holds a rare record of being the only zoo in the whole country to host a gorilla. But Lady Luck eluded zoo authorities when it came to breeding gorillas in captivity. The whole country raised its eyebrows when the then director of the zoo, C. Krishna Gowda, transported a pair of gorillas to the zoo way back in 1976. Polo was born in 1973 and was taken by Leipzig Zoological Garden in Germany, where he was housed till 1992. Later, he was borrowed by the Dublin Zoo in Ireland under the recommendation of the European Endangered Species Programme Committee. Polo was brought to Mysore Zoo in 1995. Polo was brought in from Dublin Zoo as a mate for Sumati. Polo was selected as Sumati's partner since he had a record of fathering far many baby gorillas back in Ireland. Polo's species has been named as endangered and only a few of them are left in the world now.
85 or 89, 86 like that. Afterwards, we received one more male for the mate for the friendship for the Sumati from Israel. Bobo, his name is called. He was also died during 90s. So once again, we plan to get one more male for the Sumati partner. So we received one gorilla from the Ireland, Dublin Zoo, Ireland. That is called Polo. He was we received in 1995.
Polo, who was 6 foot tall, dark-haired and well-behaved, bilingual, was the only primate in India. He was not very happy ever since he landed in Mysore, but the few joys he enjoyed were bathing and searching for food that his keeper hid in blocks of rice or in the bamboo to keep him energized. Polo was good-natured, shy and an introvert. He took instructions both in English and Kannada, but was adamant on taking commands only from the old guards. He was not quite friendly with the new ones. The 43-year-old remained a loner and became more reserved after Sumati's death. There was a huge problem that was troubling Polo. No, it was not lack of food in the zoo or that he was being tortured by his caretakers. The problem was much more serious and painful.
He was along with Sumati for so many years. After that, Sumati was died due to the cardiac arrest. So after that, Polo was lonely. So nearly 10 to 12 years back, he was lonely. But of course, he was a very good animal. Usually, he was friendly with the keepers, even along with the Sumati also. So he was regularly along with the keepers, and what the things he want to do, all these things he used to do. And friendly, he wants to take with keepers and even doctors, even the executive directors and all the officials of the zoo.
And that is where exactly the problem lied. Polo, for about 18 years until his last breath, lived like a loner. How frustrated can a gorilla get? You may find it difficult to believe this, but yes, Polo had stayed up in the Mysore Zoo for as many as 4 decades. During his active years, he had not mated. For the first 3 decades, he was normal, just like any other animal. But for the last 10 years, his mannerisms were different and he was completely frustrated. Polo didn't eat his food normally. He didn't follow the instructions given by his caretaker and did not even sleep properly. He kept roaming about the jungle all alone. Visitors at the zoo sometimes found it difficult to go near him. He made weird sounds and terrified people to the core. And the reason was quite obvious: he didn't have a partner. The officials of Mysore Zoo were unsuccessful in finding a partner for Polo. In March 17, 2005, the National Wildlife Board passed an order that restricted gifting animals from one state to another. But the problem now, as revealed, was not just the lack of a mate. It is alleged that poor Polo was removed of his virility. Repeated attempts by the authorities to find a mate for him failed. Nevertheless, the zoo director was, however, optimistic of a breakthrough with France by the end of this year. But it was a Herculean task to convince EEP to lend a female unless they were convinced that Polo could father a child. Whether or not Polo was castrated before he was handed over to the Mysore Zoo is a question that remains unanswered. A couple of years ago, an official from the Mysore Zoo revealed that Polo could not mate with a new partner as he had no reproductive organs. According to this official, Polo's genitals appear to have been removed before he was shipped to India. Attendants who bathed the gorilla did inform the higher-ups the lack of a genital in Polo and his failure to impregnate Sumati even once. It is learned that the authorities from Ireland denied the castration story. The entire zoo fraternity condoled the death of the great Polo and prayed that the Almighty give his soul peace. The zoo is now left with Guru, Ganga, Mirella and Mason. Soon, 2 males and a female chimp are expected to join them from the Singapore Zoological Gardens.
Since 13 to 15 years, we tried to get a match for the Polo, but age advances, we couldn't get it. But still, we are trying for the get another set of gorillas. This time, Vaza meeting is held in India itself. So our executive director tried to get the gorillas. Maybe we are getting another 4 gorillas in the 1 or 2 years later. Of course, we are already planned. We talked to everybody, even in the world where they got gorillas. All the zoos, we have talked to them, and the fruitful result we may come in another 1 or 2 years. We may get the 4 gorillas.
We will surely miss you, Polo. Ram, News 9, Mysore.